What if everything you thought you knew about old Hollywood was a lie? Imagine the stars you grew up idolizing, the charming, the glamorous, the seemingly untouchable, were hiding the darkest secret of all. Not just scandal or betrayal, but cold-blooded murder, covered up by studio power and buried by time. Sound too wild to be true? Keep watching, because we're pulling back the velvet curtain and counting down the 20 Golden Age icons rumored to have gotten away with the unthinkable. Ready for the real Hollywood horror show? Orson Welles. Here's a twist worthy of the master himself. What if Orson Welles, the visionary behind Citizen Kane, had a secret so dark that even Hollywood wouldn't dare put it on film? Rumors swirled for decades that Welles was more than a creative genius. He was a manipulator, a puppeteer, and possibly something much more sinister. Crew members whispered about missing extras on the set of The Lady from Shanghai, while some believed his famous magic tricks at after-parties weren't just illusions but dry runs for something much more chilling. Welles was obsessed with the unsolved Black Dahlia case, even designing mannequins for the film eerily similar to the infamous crime scene. A handful of half-drunk confessions and some missing pages from his personal diary only added fuel to the fire. Did he get away with murder, or was he just a master of myth-making? One thing's for sure. In Hollywood, the best stories are never the ones on screen. Tallulah Bankhead, no star partied harder, loved louder, or shocked the censors quite like Tallulah Bankhead. But was her wild streak just a distraction from something much darker? Back in the day, studio heads nervously joked that anyone who crossed Tallulah would end up missing, and that her infamous mansion was filled with more than just empty champagne bottles. The truth? Several up-and-coming actresses who feuded with her vanished without a trace, sparking rumors of blackmail, secret tunnels, and a guest book filled with names never seen again. Bankhead laughed off the gossip, calling it nonsense for the tabloids. But when police quietly linked her name to 3 separate cold cases, each one involving a rival found dead or disappeared, the legend only grew. Did she use her charm and chaos to cover her tracks, or was the whole thing just classic Hollywood paranoia run wild? Either way, Bankhead made sure nobody ever stole her spotlight for long. Errol Flynn, swashbuckling hero by day, notorious playboy by night, Errol Flynn wrote the book on living fast. But the wildest stories weren't about his legendary parties or even his run-ins with the law. Old Hollywood insiders swapped tales of Flynn's secret hunting lodge in the hills, where only the most trusted friends were ever invited, and not all of them made it back to the city. Neighbors reported screams echoing through the canyons, while Flynn shrugged it off as rehearsal for a new role. Even wilder, police logs hint at half a dozen missing persons reports connected to Flynn's address, all swept under the rug by studio fixers. Was he the ultimate bad boy, or something far worse? The evidence disappeared almost as fast as his party guests, and nobody ever dared press charges. In Tinseltown, the only thing more dangerous than crossing Errol Flynn was asking what really happened up in those hills. Hedy Lamarr. Most people remember Hedy Lamarr as the brilliant beauty who invented early wireless tech. But behind that genius, some whispered, was a mind capable of more than just innovation. Studio gossip painted her as cool, calculating, and just a little too interested in poisons and rare chemicals. Whenever a rival actress suddenly fell ill or dropped out of a project, tongues wagged that Hedy had tested another formula. Things got weirder when a lost notebook turned up in her estate, filled with coded recipes and mysterious initials. Police called it coincidence. Hollywood legend called it murder. No evidence ever surfaced, and Hedy smiled her secret smile all the way to the end. Was she really just misunderstood? Or was she the silent architect behind a string of Hollywood's most convenient accidents? If you ask the old-timers, Hedy Lamarr was always the smartest person in the room, maybe too smart for anyone's safety. Wallace Beery. If you wanted a tough guy on screen, you called Wallace Beery. Off-screen, he was just as rough and maybe a whole lot more dangerous. Stories circulated that Beery's infamous temper didn't stop at yelling at directors or roughing up co-stars. The darkest whispers blamed him for the mysterious death of comedian Ted Healy. But that was just the beginning. Other rumors tied Beery to a secret cleanup crew that took care of Hollywood's problems permanently. Staffers at the studio remembered actors who challenged Beery suddenly quitting, vanishing, or showing up in police reports as missing persons. The best part? Beery never flinched, never denied a thing, and kept landing big roles like nothing happened. To this day, no one's sure how much was true and how much was just studio legend. But one thing is clear. Wallace Beery was the last guy you wanted to see in your rearview mirror after dark. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford didn't just play tough, she lived tough. Every gossip columnist in town knew her reputation for icy feuds and ruthless ambition. But underneath the controlled exterior, whispers said Crawford took things way past catty remarks or backstage sabotage. Her legendary fights with rivals weren't just about stolen roles. Some believed she engineered full-blown disappearances. A rising starlet who threatened her billing, gone after a mysterious car crash. A stunt double who spoke out about on-set accidents, last seen leaving Crawford's estate late at night, never to be heard from again. Police and private eyes poked around, but every lead ran straight into the brick wall of studio protection. Crawford always claimed innocence, flashing that dazzling smile and changing the subject, but insiders joked that her mansion was the only place in Hollywood where skeletons were locked in every closet for real. Did she mastermind Hollywood's ultimate cleanup, or was she just a magnet for bad luck? Either way, nobody ever tried to upstage her twice. Peter Lorre, you want creepy? Peter Lorre made a career out of it, but off the set, things got downright unsettling. The man who gave us some of the screen's most memorable villains had a reputation for being just as spooky away from the cameras. Extras vanished during late-night shoots. Crew members whispered about Lorre's habit of collecting mementos, strands of hair, bits of jewelry from people who crossed him, storing them in a locked trunk. The more daring claimed he confessed to knowing how to make someone disappear in that soft, haunting voice. It didn't help that every police sketch of a Hollywood strangler from the era looked suspiciously like him. Was it all urban legend, or did Lorre really take his work home in the most chilling way? To this day, even his old friends refuse to talk about certain parties or nights spent at his place. If there was a real monster hiding in plain sight, Peter Lorre was everyone's top suspect. Lupe Velez. Hollywood called her the Mexican Spitfire, and for good reason. Lupe Velez burned with a wild energy that set every room on fire. But was that fire hiding something even more volatile? Velez's love life was a storm of passion and jealousy, with more than one unlucky beau ending up dead, gone, or conveniently relocated out of town. When a high-profile producer she clashed with accidentally drowned in his pool, tongues wagged that Lupe had settled the score herself. Police shrugged, blaming Hollywood's party scene, but the rumors kept piling up. Lovers who double-crossed her, rivals who mysteriously fell ill, neighbors who swore they heard screams late at night. Her own death was ruled a tragedy, but to this day, some say Lupe simply tied up her own loose ends before anyone could get too close. One thing's for sure, crossing Lupe Velez meant playing with fire, and most never got a second chance. Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi will forever be Dracula, but the creepiest stories weren't on screen. Studio hands told stories of Lugosi's all-night parties, heavy velvet curtains pulled tight, and secret games that no one dared describe in detail. When a bit player went missing after one of these gatherings, the rumors started. Lugosi didn't just play a monster, he lived it. People swore they saw him wandering the backlots at midnight, pale and wild-eyed, whispering about immortality. Cops chalked up the missing persons to runaway dreams, but old Hollywood hands knew better. Anyone who crossed Lugosi wound up on the wrong side of a curtain, never to return. Was it all myth, or was Bela's chilling presence just too convincing? Even now, his old mansion gives locals the creeps. Sometimes, legends refuse to die. Lana Turner. No star in Hollywood history lived under a brighter spotlight or a darker shadow than Lana Turner. The tabloids feasted on her string of messy romances and public scandals, but the real story was always what went on when the cameras were off. After her infamous connection to the Stompanato case, rumors swirled that Lana wasn't just unlucky, she was dangerous. 2 ex-lovers died in mysterious circumstances, and a jealous rival vanished after a heated argument at a swanky party. Some said Lana kept detailed diaries of every feud, with blacked-out pages on nights when people went missing. The police never charged her with a thing, but Hollywood insiders watched her with a mixture of awe and dread. Was she a victim of bad press, or the mastermind behind some of the town's darkest disappearances? One thing was certain. Lana always got the final scene, no matter how high the stakes. Robert Walker. Robert Walker had the boy-next-door charm and the haunted look of a man who'd seen too much, or maybe done too much. Best known for his chilling performance in Strangers on a Train, Walker blurred the line between screen villain and real-life menace. The set was always tense when he was around. Fellow actors joked nervously that he never broke character. But it was no joke when a background actor disappeared after an argument with Walker, or when a nosy gossip columnist suddenly stopped showing up at studio events after threatening to leak Walker's darkest secrets. The police called it coincidence. The studio called it bad luck. But everyone who worked with Walker noticed the same thing. Wherever he went, someone seemed to drop off the radar. Did the darkness follow him, or was he its source? Either way, Robert Walker proved one thing. Sometimes, the scariest characters don't take off the mask when the cameras stop rolling. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton's Hollywood story is usually told as a fall from grace, a starlet who lost it all. But for those who were there, the real story was so much darker. Payton's life was a chaos of broken engagements, bruised egos, and bitter enemies. And every time another rival or ex-boyfriend turned up dead, Payton's name was whispered in the shadows. There were always excuses, overdoses, accidents, mysterious disappearances chalked up to heartbreak. But detectives started to notice a pattern. 3 men connected to Payton vanished within a single year, and a jealous co-star dropped off the map just after a backstage fight. Was Payton just unlucky, or was she hiding something far worse behind that dazzling smile? When she finally left Hollywood, the missing persons cases stopped. Maybe it was coincidence. Or maybe Barbara Payton took her secrets, and a few others, with her when she disappeared from the spotlight. George Reeves. George Reeves was Superman to a generation of kids, but the adults of Hollywood weren't so easily fooled. His private life was messy, his relationships tangled, and his temper legendary. More than one rival ended up bruised, or worse, after crossing him. But it was the string of accidental deaths linked to Reeves that kept the studio rumor mill spinning. An agent who'd threatened to reveal damaging secrets fell down a flight of stairs. A producer disappeared after a heated argument on set. A jilted lover was found dead, ruled an accident, but everyone whispered that Reeves had a hand in it. The press spun it as bad luck, but those who knew him best locked their doors a little tighter. Superman was always the hero on screen, but in real life? Let's just say he was the last person you'd want turning up at your window in the middle of the night. Gloria Grahame. Noir Queen Gloria Grahame had a face that could melt a camera lens and a reputation for leaving wreckage behind her. Marriages crumbled, careers ended, and, if you believe the studio whispers, enemies disappeared without a trace. Graham's rivals would show up on set one day, then never again. Her secret? A blend of charm, manipulation, and a steely resolve that could freeze out anyone who got in her way. When 2 up-and-coming actresses were found dead within months of crossing Grahame, investigators raised their eyebrows, but never found evidence. Her address book was a list of Hollywood's missing. Was she the Black Widow of Tinseltown, or just the unluckiest woman in the business? Either way, nobody ever underestimated Gloria Grahame, at least not for long.